The stranger in booth nineth rain tapped softly on the windows of a small family restaurant, tucked away on a quiet street in New Orleans. The lights inside were warm, casting a soft yellow glow across the wooden floor and faded red booths. The place wasn't fancy, the paint peeled in corners, and the menu hadn't changed in years. But for the people who came here, it felt like home. Lucy, a 24-year-old waitress with tired eyes and a hopeful heart, tied her apron tighter and carried a pot of coffee from table to table. It was her third shift this week. Double hours, no tips. Big enough to cover rent, but she smiled anyway. "Coffee, ma'am?" she asked a woman at table 3. "Sure, thanks, sweetheart," the woman replied. Lucy poured, smiled, and moved on. It was almost 8:30 p.m. when the door creaked open again. A man walked in quietly. He wore a hoodie with the hood up and simple jeans. His beard was short, trimmed, and his eyes looked like they had seen both heaven and hell. He didn't speak to anyone, just walked to booth 9, the one in the corner, near the window, and sat down alone. Lucy watched him from behind the counter. There was something familiar about the way he moved. Not famous familiar, but peaceful, like someone who didn't want attention, who was tired of being noticed. She grabbed a menu and approached his booth. "Good evening, sir," she said gently. "First time here?" The man looked up. Lucy single quotes S breath caught in her throat. She recognized him instantly, but she said nothing. "Yeah," the man said with a soft smile. "Just passing through." She handed him the menu. "Well, you picked a good place to be quiet," he chuckled. "That's all I'm looking for tonight." She smiled politely and walked away, heart pounding. It was Keanu Reeves. She was sure of it. But he didn't say his name. Didn't ask for anything special. Just wanted peace. Lucy didn't tell anyone. Not the cook. Not the other server who just clocked out. This was his moment to disappear, and she wasn't going to take that away. Keanu sat quietly, looking at the menu like it held some secret to life. Lucy returned with a notepad. "Ready to order?" He looked up again and smiled. "What do you recommend?" "Mac and cheese," she said. "It's not healthy, but it's warm." "Perfect," he said. "Anything to drink?" "Just coffee," she nodded. "Coming right up." As she walked back, she noticed something odd. Keanu didn't pull out a phone. He didn't check messages or scroll through news. He just sat there, watching the rain, like he was remembering something. He couldn't quite reach. Lucy poured the coffee, grabbed the plate, and brought it back to his table. She placed it gently in front of him and stepped back. "Thank you," he said softly. She smiled and turned to leave, but something made her stop. "Can I ask you something?" she said quietly. He looked up. "Sure. Do you ever get tired of pretending to be okay?" Keanu paused for a long moment. His eyes didn't blink. Then he nodded. Double quotes, "Yes. All the time." She gave a small, understanding smile. "Me too." Then she walked away. Keanu watched her as she returned to the counter. There was something in her voice: honesty, exhaustion, hope. A mix only people who had lost something could carry. He picked up the fork and started eating. Lucy, meanwhile, scribbled something quickly on a napkin. She folded it in half, hesitated, then walked back to his booth. When he wasn't looking, she placed the napkin beside his coffee. "You forgot sugar," she said with a small wink. Then she walked away. Keanu looked at the napkin. He unfolded it. In neat handwriting, it said, "I don't know who you really are tonight, but if you're someone who understands silence, thank you for letting me serve you. I needed to feel useful today, more than you know." Keanu stared at the note. For a moment, the world stopped. This wasn't about fame, or movies, or being recognized. This was about connection. Human, raw, real. He folded the napkin carefully and put it in his pocket. Then he stood up and walked to the counter. Lucy looked surprised. "Was everything all right?" He nodded. It was more than all right. He placed a bill on the counter, then slid something else next to it, a business card with no title, just a phone number. "If you ever need anything," he said, "call me." Lucy blinked. "I don't understand." "You will," he said. And then he turned and left. Outside, the rain had stopped. The streets were wet, glowing with reflections of lights. Keanu walked into the night without looking back. Lucy stared at the card. The tip he left was more than generous, it was shocking. But it was the card that made her heart race. She knew it was real. But why? Who was he, really? And what did he see in her that made him leave that note? Over the next few days, Lucy kept the card in her apron. She didn't call. Not yet. But her thoughts kept going back to him. His eyes, his silence, the way he understood. Her question without laughing. Meanwhile, Keanu returned to his private home outside the city. He thought about Lucy too. Her note, her honesty. How rare that was. He called his assistant and asked for something unusual. Find out who owns the restaurant at the corner of Franklin and 9th. He said, sure. The assistant replied, why? Keanu paused. I want to buy it. For business. No, he said. For her. He didn't explain further. But something had stirred inside him that night. Not romance. Not charity. Something deeper. A need to give meaning to a moment that had saved him more than she would ever know. Back at the restaurant, Lucy continued her shifts. No one else had noticed anything unusual about the night he came in to them. It was just another rainy evening. But to her, it had changed something. And when a man in a suit walked in a week later, asking to speak with the owner, everyone was confused. Because the owner had died 2 months ago, and the restaurant was weeks away from shutting down. Who are you? Lucy asked the man politely. He smiled. Someone who's about to change your life. The second Visith restaurant was quiet again. Only a few regulars sat in their usual places. The air smelled like grilled onions and old coffee, and the flickering ceiling light above booth 7 still hadn't been fixed. Lucy wiped down the counter as the man in the suit stood by the front door, holding a folder under his arm. I'm sorry, she said, stepping out from behind the register, but the owner passed away recently. There's no manager right now. We've just been keeping things going until we get shut down. The man smiled kindly. I know, he said. His voice was calm, smooth. To calm. Lucy looked at him with a mix of confusion and worry. How do you know? He opened the folder and took out a set of papers. My name is Sam. I work for a private foundation. We just purchased this property. Lucy blinked. You what? The sale went through yesterday, he explained. The paperwork is finalized. The building, the lot, the name, it all belongs to the foundation now. She stepped back slightly. So, this place is done? Sam shook his head. No, it's just beginning again. Lucy stared at him, speechless. The foundation, he continued, is interested in restoring small, local businesses, especially ones with history, ones that matter to their community. Lucy folded her arms, unsure. We're not fancy. We don't have any history. Just a broken espresso machine and a few tables that wobble. Sam chuckled. Maybe, but someone important believes this place still has value. Who? She asked. He hesitated, then pulled something out of his coat pocket. A folded napkin. Lucy's heart skipped. It was the same one she had written the note on. How did you get that? She whispered. Sam looked her in the eye. The man you served that night, booth 9. He's the one who bought this place. She shook her head slowly. You mean Keanu? Sam smiled. He didn't give us permission to use his name, but yes, he's the reason I'm here. Lucy stared at the napkin, stunned. He read this, Sam said gently, and it meant something to him. More than you know. Lucy's hands trembled slightly. I didn't mean to do anything big. It was a hard day. Sam nodded. He said he could tell, and that it made him want to do something that mattered. Lucy sat down on a nearby stool, her head spinning. So what happens now? She asked. Sam placed a new folder on the table. He asked us to restore the restaurant, update the kitchen, fix the roof, repaint the walls. He wants it to stay exactly what it was, but safer, stronger, and better supported. Lucy looked at the paperwork, legal forms, bank agreements, insurance. Why? She asked again, softly. Sam leaned closer. Because when someone reminds you of the good in people, sometimes you want to return the favor. Lucy felt tears sting her eyes. I don't know what to say, she whispered. You don't have to say anything, Sam said. Just one thing, though. She looked up. He wants you to be the one in charge. Lucy's eyes widened. Me. You've been holding this place together. He saw it. He believes in you. She shook her head. But I don't know how to run a place. Sam smiled. That's why we're here. Training, support, staff. Whatever you need. You don't have to be perfect. Just willing. Lucy looked down at the napkin again. Thank you for letting me serve you. Her own words echoed back to her. Now someone was serving her. Can I think about it? She asked. Sam nodded. Take your time. But we start renovations next week. When we're done, this place will be yours to lead. He gave her the keys. Then he left. Lucy sat in silence for a long time, holding the keys tightly in her hand. The next few days moved fast. Contractors showed up. Painters, plumbers. The lights were fixed, the booths reupholstered. The menu was redesigned, keeping all the classics but adding a few modern touches. They even brought in a new espresso machine. But through it all, Lucy didn't see Keanu again. Not once. Not a call, not a message. Just silence. Until one evening, a letter arrived. No return address. Just her name. Inside was a handwritten note. I didn't want to take away your strength by standing in the spotlight. You had it all along. I just helped you see it. Thank you for reminding me that kindness still exists. Booth 9 will always be my favorite. Table K. Lucy held the letter to her chest. The restaurant reopened on a sunny Saturday morning. People lined up outside. News spread fast. A once-forgotten place was alive again. Kids laughed at the counter. Old men played cards in the back booth. Someone sang softly near the jukebox. And Lucy, she wore a new apron, a clean smile, and a name tag that said, Manager. She moved between tables with calm confidence, welcoming everyone, remembering orders, pouring coffee. But she kept booth 9 open. Every day. Reserved, just in case. One day, a customer asked, Why is that table always empty? Lucy smiled. It's waiting for someone who reminded me who I am. She never told them who. She didn't have to. The story was hers, and that was enough. But one evening, just before closing, the door opened. A familiar figure stepped inside. Hoodie. Soft eyes, quiet smile. Lucy froze. He walked to booth 9. Sat down. Tables still open? He asked. She nodded. Always. And without saying another word, she poured him coffee, sat across from him, and smiled. The rest of the world disappeared. To people. A note. A napkin. And the kindness that changed everything. The story behind the smell of coffee sat between them. Steaming softly, outside, the sun was setting, painting the windows in gold and orange. The restaurant had emptied out an hour ago, and the lights inside were dimmed low. Lucy sat across from Keanu at booth 9, her hands folded on the table, heart thudding inside her chest. She didn't know what to say. Neither did he for a moment. They just sat in silence, comfortable, honest silence, the kind that doesn't need to be filled. Keanu looked around. You made it better, he said softly. Lucy smiled. You made it possible. He shook his head slowly. No, I just helped you see what was already there. Lucy looked down at her coffee. So why now? Why today? Keanu leaned back. His eyes were calm but tired, like someone carrying stories he hadn't told yet. Because I needed to say thank you, he said. Lucy blinked. For what? He exhaled slowly. That night, when I came in, I wasn't just passing through. I was lost. Not physically, just emotionally. I had just left a meeting with a friend who told me something that broke my heart. I needed somewhere quiet. I didn't even know where I was going. I turned a corner, saw the sign, and walked in. Lucy listened carefully, her heart tightening. When you asked me that question, he continued, do you ever get tired of pretending to be okay? It hit me, like you were asking the exact thing I couldn't say out loud. No one ever asked me that before. Not in that way. Not with that kind of honesty. Lucy swallowed the lump in her throat. I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable. You didn't, he said. You did the opposite. You reminded me I'm not alone. He pulled something from his coat pocket and placed it on the table. The napkin. Folded and clean. I carry it with me, he said. Everywhere. It keeps me grounded. Lucy stared at it, speechless. The world thinks people like me have everything, he continued. Fame, money, success. But sometimes we're the most invisible. Lucy nodded slowly. I understand. He looked at her. I know you do. That's why I bought this place. Lucy tilted her head. Why this place, though? There are thousands of restaurants in the world. Because it's not about the building, he said. It's about the people, the energy, the stories. This place saved me that night, and I thought maybe we could make it a place that saves others too. Lucy leaned in. What do you mean? Keanu smiled softly. What if this wasn't just a restaurant? What if it became a community table? A place where people who feel unseen can come and be heard. Not just served food but served kindness. Lucy's eyes lit up. We'd need volunteers, donations, a team. We can build it, he said. Together. She paused, unsure. But I'm not. I'm just someone trying to make rent. You're more than that, he said. You're a leader. You just don't see it yet. The room went quiet again. Lucy leaned back, letting the words sink in. Then she asked him something she'd wanted to ask for weeks. Do you really think people can change? Like, not just their jobs or lives, but who they are? Keanu looked down at his coffee, then up again. Yes, he said. But only when they're reminded of who they were before the world told them who to be. Lucy smiled through tears. That's beautiful, she said. It's true, he replied. They sat there until the coffee went cold, until the lights above them flickered softly, until the world outside turned dark. Keanu finally stood. I'll be back in a week. We'll meet with the first group of partners. You'll be part of every step. Lucy stood too, nodding. I'll be ready. He started walking toward the door, but then he stopped and turned around. You know, he said, people often remember what someone did for them, but they forget what they meant to someone else. What do you mean? Lucy asked. He looked at her with a warmth that made her chest ache. You reminded me I was still human. And with that, he walked into the night. Lucy stood alone in the quiet restaurant, heart full, mind racing. In one small moment, everything had changed. And it wasn't over yet. A second chance for everyone. Next morning, the sunlight streamed through the restaurant windows, soft and golden. Lucy stood at the counter, staring at a notepad in her hands. It was filled with scribbles, ideas, and messy arrows pointing in all directions. Her head was spinning, but in the best way possible. She had barely slept. Keanu's words kept echoing in her mind. What if this wasn't just a restaurant? What if it was more? The door opened, and Mia, one of the newer waitresses, walked in, tying her apron. You're here early, she said. Lucy looked up and smiled. I couldn't sleep. Mia raised an eyebrow. Good or bad? Both, I think, Lucy replied. Something's about to change. They opened the doors for the day. Customers came and went. Coffee was poured. Orders were taken. But behind every action, Lucy felt something shift inside her. After the lunch rush, she gathered the staff for a quick meeting. I have something to share, she said, heart pounding. They gathered around, curious. Lucy held up the napkin. This, she said, is what started it all. They looked confused. She explained the story, how Keanu had come in that night, quietly, with no expectations. How a small note had started a chain of events that brought the restaurant back to life. And now, how he wanted to help turn it into something more. A safe place. A second chance. The room fell silent when she finished. Then one of the cooks, Charlie, spoke up. So, you're saying we'd help people who need more than just food? Yes, Lucy said. People who are hurting. People who feel invisible. They'd come here and be seen. Like a shelter? Mia asked. No, Lucy said. More like a community, one table at a time. The staff looked at each other, unsure. Then Charlie nodded. I'm in. And just like that, the first step began. In the days that followed, the restaurant started to change. They created a community table. In the center of the room, a long wooden table with space for anyone. No reservations, no questions asked, just food, coffee, and conversation. They started a pay-it-forward board on the wall, where customers could leave small sticky notes with messages, or prepaid meals for strangers. One note said, for the man who lost his wife, coffee is on me. Another said, to the girl studying late, dessert is covered. The board grew each day. People began showing up not just for food, but for comfort. And Lucy? She was finally starting to believe in herself. Then came the surprise visit. One afternoon, while Lucy was wiping down the counter, the door opened, and a woman in her 40s stepped in. She looked nervous, worn out. Her clothes were clean, but old. She had a duffel bag slung over her shoulder. Lucy walked up with a kind smile. "Welcome in." The woman hesitated. "Is it true? About the table?" Lucy nodded. "Yes. You don't need to buy anything. Just sit, rest, eat." The woman's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you," she whispered. Lucy guided her to the community table and served her a warm bowl of soup and fresh bread. That night, Lucy stayed late cleaning. But before she turned off the lights, she saw something on the table, a note. It said, "My name is Sandra. I haven't eaten at a real table in weeks. Today, I felt like a person again. Thank you." Lucy folded the note and placed it in a small box behind the counter. She started calling it the box of hope. Every letter, every thank you, every quiet moment of connection went into that box. Keanu returned the next week, just like he said. Lucy met him outside with a warm cup of coffee and a hug. "You were right," she said. "This place is becoming something beautiful." Keanu smiled. "And it's because of you." He stepped inside and looked around. The changes were small but powerful. The sticky notes, the community table, the laughter. He walked over to the hope box and peeked inside. Hundreds of folded notes. He picked one at random. It said, "This place gave me a reason to stay alive today." He closed the box slowly. "This," he said quietly, "is exactly what the world needs." Lucy sat with him at booth 9 again. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Of course. Why me? Why not just hire a professional to run the place?" Keanu looked at her. "Because a professional might run it with rules. You run it with heart." Lucy felt tears rise. "I still get scared," she admitted. "Good," he said. "It means you care." They talked for hours, about everything and nothing. The way strangers once again became friends in this little place. How music seemed to sound better when shared. How a warm plate of food could do more than a speech. And as they sat there, someone walked over a young man, maybe 18, holding a guitar case. "Hi," he said nervously. "I heard this place lets people perform sometimes. Just play. Something small." Lucy smiled. "Absolutely." He sat in the corner and began strumming a soft tune. Within minutes, the restaurant filled with music. People smiled. Some cried. Others just closed their eyes and listened. Keanu looked at Lucy and whispered, "This is what healing sounds like." She nodded. And as the music played on, she realized something. This wasn't just her second chance. This was a second chance for everyone. The letter behind the register. The soft hum of the guitar still echoed in Lucy's mind as she opened the restaurant. Early the next morning, sunlight spilled in through the windows, making the polished floors glow and the newly painted walls feel warm. The scent of cinnamon rolls drifted from the kitchen, and someone had left a small bouquet of flowers on the community table. Everything felt right. Lucy walked behind the counter and began her morning routine, checking the till, flipping on the lights, prepping the register. But as she reached to open the lower drawer, something caught her eye. A small envelope, yellowed at the edges. Tucked between two old menus under the register. It wasn't there yesterday. She picked it up. There was no name on the front, just a tiny heart drawn in the corner. The paper felt soft from age, and the flap was already half open. She opened it slowly. Inside was a letter, handwritten in delicate script. It read, "To the next soul who takes care of this place. This restaurant has always been more than tables and chairs. My husband built it for me when we had nothing but love and a dream. We served neighbors, strangers, and once even a man who couldn't pay but came back a year later with flowers and tears. We never made much money, but we always had enough. We always believed kindness could be passed like salt across a table. If you're reading this, then we're gone. But the walls are still full of stories. The counter still remembers laughter. Please take care of it, not just the building, but the heart of it. And don't forget, every person who walks in is fighting a battle you can't see. Serve them gently. With love, Martha Thompson." Lucy stood frozen, the letter trembling in her hand. Martha Thompson. That was the name of the original owner, the woman who had passed away just months ago. Lucy remembered seeing the old photo on the wall in the back hallway. Martha and her husband, smiling in front of the restaurant on opening day. Decades ago, Lucy had never met her, but now, through this letter, she felt as if she had, and she realized something. What Keanu had started by buying the restaurant, what she had tried to continue by making it a place of kindness, Martha had started long before them. This restaurant was always meant to heal people. Lucy carefully folded the letter and placed it in a frame beside the hope box, near the register. It didn't belong hidden. It belonged where everyone could read it. When Keanu arrived later that day, Lucy met him at the door with the framed letter in her hands. "You need to see this," she said. They sat at booth 9 as she read the letter. Aloud. Keanu listened in silence. His eyes didn't leave hers. When she finished, he spoke quietly. "Then we're part of something bigger than we thought." Lucy nodded. "We're just continuing what she started." He leaned back. "It's amazing how kindness echoes through time, and how a napkin, a letter, even one quiet moment can change everything." As the day went on, more people came through the doors. An older man brought in a small piano and offered to play once a week. A group of high school students volunteered to help serve food to anyone who couldn't pay. A woman came in holding her daughter's hand and left a note saying, "You made my child smile. Thank you." And the board of notes grew again. "I got my first job interview today. Your soup reminded me of my mom's. I thought I was invisible until someone here remembered my name." Keanu spent the day helping in the back, shopping vegetables, wiping down tables, washing dishes. No one treated him like a celebrity. He didn't want that. He was just part of the team now. In the evening, as the sun began to set and the last few customers lingered over pie and coffee, Lucy sat beside him once more. "Do you ever think about walking away from all of it?" she asked. "The movies? The world out there?" He nodded slowly. "Sometimes, but not because I don't love what I do. Just because sometimes I want to be more than who the world says I am. And here, you can be," she said. "Here," he smiled, "I'm just a guy who likes mac and cheese." Lucy laughed, then looked toward the front door. A man stood there, thin, nervous, holding a backpack. He didn't say a word, just looked around like he wasn't sure he belonged. Lucy stood and walked to him. "Hi there," she said gently. "First time here?" He nodded. "I heard about the community table. Is it okay if I?" She touched his arm lightly. "Of course, welcome." She guided him to the table and brought him food without asking questions. Keanu watched from booth 9, a soft smile on his face. He took out his phone and typed a message to his assistant. "Cancel the meetings tomorrow. I need one more day." Here, the restaurant stayed open an hour later than usual. No one wanted to leave. As the last lights were turned off, Lucy stood by the front door with Keanu beside her. "It's becoming something magical, isn't it?" she asked. He looked around, then down at his hands, then at her. "No," he said. "It already is. The kindness that never leaves." Next morning, a soft breeze moved through the quiet streets of the neighborhood as the first light of dawn touched the windows of the little restaurant. The air smelled like fresh bread and warm coffee, and birds chirped gently in the distance. Inside, Lucy stood alone, looking out at the empty tables. It was early. Too early for customers, but not too early for gratitude. Today marked exactly 1 month since the restaurant reopened under her leadership. 1 month since the first napkin, since the first step toward something she never thought she could build. And today, something special was going to happen. Keanu was returning again. But not as a customer, not even as a silent supporter. Today, he would speak to everyone. For the first time, Lucy flipped the open sign and took a deep breath. By 10 a.m., the restaurant was full. Journalists, photographers, locals, students, workers, even families who had once needed help now returned with smiles and small donations. Everyone came not because of the name Keanu Reeves, but because of the heart that pulsed inside the walls of this place. Lucy stood behind the counter, heart racing. Keanu entered through the side door quietly, in his usual hoodie and jeans. He waved to a few familiar faces, hugged Lucy softly, and walked up to the small platform they had set up near the community table. The room grew quiet. All eyes turned to him. He looked down at a folded piece of paper, then back up. "I wasn't Supposed to be here, he said with a gentle smile. At least, not in this way. People leaned in. I came in one rainy night because I needed to feel invisible. I was hurting. I had lost something important that day, not a person, but a part of myself. Lucy watched from behind the counter, her hands clasped tightly. But someone saw me, Keanu continued. A waitress who didn't ask who I was. She asked how I was. And when I couldn't speak the truth, she gave me something better, a quiet kind of kindness. He unfolded the napkin and held it up. This is the note she left me. People gasped softly. Keanu read the note aloud. I don't know who you really are tonight, but if you're someone who understands silence, thank you for letting me serve you. I needed to feel useful today more than you know. The room went still. Not even the forks clinked. That simple note reminded me that we all have the power to give something to someone else even when we feel empty ourselves. He looked around. This restaurant now stands as proof of that. A few people wiped their eyes. You don't have to be rich to change the world, Keanu said. You just have to care. The room burst into quiet applause. Not loud, not wild, just honest. Keanu stepped down and returned to booth 9. Lucy walked over, sat beside him, and smiled. You did good, she whispered. So did you, he replied. The rest of the day was filled with joy. Volunteers gave out free meals to those who needed them. A choir of local children performed near the windows. Strangers shared tables, laughed, and hugged like old friends. At one point, Lucy opened the hope box behind the register and asked people to read random notes aloud. A woman read, "My son has autism." He smiled for the first time in days after eating pancakes here. A man read, "I used to be homeless. I came here every day last week. Now I have a job and my first paycheck." Each note was followed by quiet claps, tears, and something even more powerful. Connection. As evening came, Keanu helped mop the floor, wipe tables, and stack chairs. Lucy stood beside him, tired but glowing. Do you think this can last? She asked. Only if we keep showing up, he said. She looked around. People still lingered, drinking coffee, telling stories. Then she turned to him. So what happens next? He looked up at the ceiling. Thought for a moment. We open another one, he said. Lucy single quotes, eyes widened. You're serious? Yes, he smiled. What we built here can happen in other cities, other corners, small places that need big hearts. Lucy looked at him with awe. And you want me to? Yes, he said. I want you to lead it. Lucy swallowed hard. I don't know if I can. You already are. She looked around one last time. The lights, the smells, the people. And she realized something. This wasn't just a restaurant. This was her purpose. A home for the broken. A home for herself. A place where no one ever had to pretend to be okay again. They closed the doors just after midnight. The lights dimmed. The world outside quieted. But the feeling stayed. The feeling of being seen. Heard. Loved. One napkin had started it. One quiet moment had changed everything. And now it would live on, city by city, hand by hand, heart by heart. Because kindness, when shared, doesn't run out. It only grows.